Welcome back to the Elite Trainer Academy, brought to you by Mind Pump. Today, I've got Adam Schafer back on the show. This was a really fun conversation. I asked Adam, what does the path to 20 million look like for Mind Pump? This was a fun conversation because this is pretty representative of the conversations that Adam and I have behind the scenes pretty regularly. So I think there's a lot of hidden gems here, and you'll be able to see insight into the way that Adam thinks when it comes to operating the business. So I think if you have any interest in entrepreneurship or running a business, you'll find this episode to be very valuable. And if you do, please share. Enjoy the show. All right, so Adam, we were just talking, before we started rolling the cameras here, we're talking about Mind Pump and our business, and I want to go a little bit of a different direction with today's episode. I want to talk more specifically about, some of the behind the scenes of what's happening at Mind Pump, because I know selfishly, that's the content that I would love to listen to. And so I'm sure there's a lot of trainers and a lot of fans of the show out there that are really curious of what's going on, behind the scenes with Mind Pump. So I wanted to start out asking, what do you see as the biggest needle movers in Mind Pump right now for the direction that we're going with the business?
Well, the obvious one is the trainer side. We have a huge audience and email list of customers that have been buying MAPS products, which these are people that admittedly are saying, I need help with programming and training, a training regimen. And so those people are the ideal clients that would also, or ideal leads to potentially personal train, because there is a large percentage of those people that would say, not only do I need help programming, I would love to have a personal trainer help me through that process. And so I'd say that's probably one of the biggest needle movers. I know we're in the middle of switching marketing teams, and right before we turn these mics on, we were talking off air about all the holes and areas that we can improve, the email list being one of those. And I think that will move the needle, and I think that's going to help. I don't think it's as much of a needle mover as the personal training side. The personal training side, when you think about what we've done for 10 years as far as curating a list and a listenership of people that are interested in the content we have to serve, that is the ideal pool of people I would want to go after in order to build a personal training business. And I think the little bit that we've talked about and announced and opened up to train clients is an example of that. I mean, right now that's our greatest bottleneck, is you don't have enough personal trainers to service the amount of people, which is one of the greatest places to be in building a business, is when you have more demand than you have supply, because we have lots of options in that position. Now, our goal isn't to just raise prices like crazy. We want to be able to service a lot of those people, but it's a good place to be in business where you have that much demand. And so I'd say that's probably the biggest needle mover currently.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of the things that we've been talking about that are maybe problems for, when you've scaled to as big as Mind Pump is, like email lists, marketing issues, those are all big problems. Do you feel like there's anything that we've seen in the business lately, or any lessons that you've learned that you feel are maybe applicable to the trainer that's just in the early stages, first few years? Because I imagine something like an email list, that's not really super relevant to somebody that's in their first few years of training.
I mean, yes and no though, Kyle. Okay, so the average trainer is not going to have the exact same problem where they have, or very few people are going to relate to, oh, you have an email list of 500,000 people and you're not servicing them very well, and so you have this huge opportunity there. But it really is the same problem on a smaller level. One of the things, and I know you've sat in meetings where I'm the times that I spend with the trainers, and one of the things I always encourage them to do is to find ways to create value within your client list. And your client list may only be 15 clients right now, but are you creating ways to add more value to their lives? And especially if it's scalable or it doesn't require a lot of time and effort. I'll give you some examples of like the stuff that I've been trying to inspire these trainers to do. And we just had a current meeting where we talked about this. And so we have both online and in-person training clients. And you come to a session either 2 times or so a week, or you meet on a Zoom call, say once a week or every other week. And in between that time, we have things where we have Loom things that they send to them. But it's like, what stops you as a trainer who's only servicing 20 to 30 clients of not almost making daily touch points with that client to increase value? It's actually the same problem that we're having with the email list. Just that's like a microcosm of that, right? It's like, I am very aware of. It's funny that I'm giving the advice to my trainers and not taking my own advice on what we could be doing. And admittedly, what happens when you scale and it gets to this size is sometimes those things get out of control, or they get out of reach, or they quickly become less of a priority because this other thing becomes a new priority. And I think you and I have had this question or challenge many times, and I remember warning you before the position that I said, your hardest thing is going to be to say no and to stay focused. And like, that's the tough part of where I'm at, is I get distracted. I know that's important, yet I still get distracted by these other things. And so even though the email list may not resonate with the trainer who only has 10 or 15 clients, it's actually the same lesson that I learned back when I had 10 or 15 clients. And it's exactly that. It's that. And so what it looks like on the email list is like, why am I not making these people in my email list feel, daily or at least weekly value from me? And if I do that, they're much more likely to convert into a customer or a higher paying customer. The same thing will go with a trainer who only has 10 to 15 clients. It's like, what things are you doing to potentially add value to that client daily so that they either, one, become a customer, or become a lifelong customer, or become a better customer? And there's lots of opportunities that I think trainers, even at the base level, miss. And I think an example of that is what we just talked about with our trainers, is that, and I love to see them implementing AI and giving recipes. I walked in this morning and overheard Corinne talking to a couple of the other trainers, saying like she had the Creatures of Habit oatmeal out, and she's like, what we should do is we should create a couple fun recipes with this stuff and send it to our clients. I said, I love that idea. Not only that, I said, I've got cases of that stuff. I said, so I'll even allow you to send some of it for free. So what a great idea for the trainer that at our place, at least, that has access to this oatmeal that I can give to them for free. They can also give a recipe. It's like, man, what a cool value add. You get all of a sudden this box of free valuable oatmeal in the mail from your client, from your trainer. And then your trainer also says, here's a couple cool recipes that are healthy treats that are high protein for you. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And I don't think that's actually that different than the same conversation that we're having right now with our email list.
Yeah. It's even in some ways easier, because it's, those are the people that are paying you hundreds of dollars a month to work with them one-on-one. So it should be much easier for a personal trainer working with a client to put in those systems and processes to do that. It just takes a little bit of extra effort.
I think that's a great point you're making, because, and this is part of how I lost sight of it, is it's very easy to think that way when you have 20 or 30 clients, and that 20, 30 clients represents 100% of your income. My email list does not represent 100% of our income. Then, by the way, that's not me justifying why we're not doing it. It's just it's admitting how I lost sight of it, and I've focused on other things that generate a lot more revenue for the business. But it doesn't devalue that, or doesn't say that it's not valuable, or not say that there's not opportunity there. There absolutely is opportunity there, and that's what we're trying to fix right now. But to your point, I agree. It should be easier when you're only looking at 20 clients, and that 20 clients represents 100% of your income. I'm thinking about those people 24/7, and I'm thinking about all the ways that I can add value to their lives so that they look at me as no longer like a luxury item to have, but more of a necessity, because they're like, man, ever since I've hired Adam, XYZ is so much better. He handles all these things for me. He does all this stuff for me. It's like, Yeah, and that's how I try to tell the trainers all the time is like, your goal should be to service your people so well that they start to look at your expense the same way they look at their PG&E bill or their gas, any of their amenities that they pay every single month and don't think twice about it. And reality is they technically could survive without some of those things, but yet they've justified that, no, I can't. And I absolutely, so how do you become that for your clients?
Yeah. So how do you, with like kind of talking more into that idea or that thread of focus and like where you're putting time into things in the business, do you have some way that you evaluate how you allocate resources and time to different aspects of the business right now? Obviously, you're talking like you mentioned, the trainer side is like that's the big focus on the business right now is personal training. But there's still other things that have to happen. There's still other things that are occurring, like organic content. You're mentioning the email list, like a million other things. How do you decide how to allocate resources and time? Yeah,
it's a good question. I don't think that I've technically mastered this. I think I'm still learning and getting better. But there's a couple things. First and foremost, ROI. So you have to look at what's the greatest return on my investment of my time is at. So every department that moves in this business, if I'm overseeing it, requires some of my time. And so I'm looking at, okay, what are the areas that move and for the audience that doesn't know, give you some examples, like partnerships is, a huge percentage of our business. Maps products, huge part of our business. The trainer side is becoming a huge part of our business. And within the trainer side, there is the trainer course, which is a 7-figure business. And then there is the training clients, which is a 7-figure business. So I just named 4 different revenue streams of the company that are all 7-figure plus revenue streams for us. And so now we have a bunch of other stuff too. I mean, we have apparel and we have all these other things that generate some revenue, but they're more of what I call the redheaded stepchild, right? So that's like they get treated that way, right? Like that we don't, but they still generate revenue. They don't get the same kind of attention from me as the 4 major revenue streams. And so I first look at that and I go, okay, how quickly can I move into that thing and deploy strategy and delegate what I need to get done? What's great about partnerships is, I've empowered my wife years ago to run that. I originally built it, ran it for us, and then delegated that out to her. She's one of the most talented people that I know. And so really easy for me to insert myself and then move out of that. So like, that's as easy as me going in and having a conversation with her and going like, hey, here's the ideas that I have. Here's the things that we need to do. Here's what, and then I can lay that out. And then she's the type of person, because she's an entrepreneur herself, I can leave that department and I don't have to revisit it until it's already been executed. And then she can come back and tell me the results of whatever said plan I had. So something like that I love because it's quick and easy, right? And I can move the needle a lot. I think of you as that person for me on the trainer side. Is I can meet with you once or twice a week and I can go, okay, what are we doing? You can fill me in. Here's my strategies, my points. Most of the time, I don't have much to say. You're already on the right path. Every once in a while, I'll be like, maybe implement this or think about that. And I put my 2 cents in, but then again, I can remove myself and then move to the next thing. And so it really is, I'm constantly evaluating what is going to give us the greatest ROI for the business. Then how do I move into that part? And then how quickly can I delegate that out to the person who I've put in charge to do that? And then that is, how much do I trust that person? So there's parts of the business. Before you took over that department, I had hired a CEO to run the trainer side. And it started off decent, but then it was just a downhill slope of like failing. So I found myself over there so much to where it warranted a conversation of, okay, we need to consider removing this person from that position because we are paying them so much money, yet I'm having to spend so much time over here fixing it. What's the point of that? Because I can just insert myself all of my time there and help build it up, or I can find somebody who can do that. And so a lot of what I do and how I decide where I'm at is depending on that. Then the last one is like, there sometimes is a very obvious hole to me. Like this is now getting to where we're at on the marketing side with maps. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it went as long as it did was because we had 10 years of consistent success. So even though everybody else on the outside looking in might have came in and said, oh, you're missing here and your email list could be better and this, that, like from an operator's perspective, I was growing year over year. And so when you talk about how do I decide, that's like, I'll get to that. That was kind of how I looked at it. It's like, I got all these other babies out here that are growing, that need attention, that it's very clear to me, do X, Y, and Z, and we're going to see the return. And so even though I got a lot of maybe people telling me, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that, it's like, well, that's scaling and growing for me. And it's doing it every single quarter and every single year. And yes, you may see I could be doing this better and I could be doing that better, but it's still growing and we're going in the right direction. So I'm not really worried about it. Well, then what happened last year and a half? It plateaued and then started going down. And so guess what? It got way more of my attention, enough to shake that up, fire that team, hire somebody new. And now we're implementing things like that. And so that's kind of what it looks like. It's why I love what I do, or what I bring to what we do, is I really enjoy all aspects of our business. And I feel so lucky that I get to kind of dabble and play with all of it. And I really get a kick out of empowering other people and seeing them win. So like, I've always been a team player. I've always been, even though I wasn't the best athlete on the team, but I've always been a leader or a voice on every team that I've ever played. And so that role fits me really naturally in what we do, to look at it and then, build and develop somebody up and then celebrate their win. Like, I love that. I love to play a role in that, even if it's a role that a lot of people don't know because it's behind the scenes. It doesn't matter, because I thoroughly enjoy that part of what I do.
Yeah. So they're kind of I think, consistent theme with your answer there, and it's basically getting the right people in the right spots, and then you just manage the people. So it takes up you get a much greater return for your time doing it that way.
The reason why I actually really like this conversation, Kyle, is because I actually think it's where most good entrepreneurs get stuck.
Yeah.
So if you create a successful business, you're already in the 20 percentile. Mm-hmm. If you actually are good enough to reach $1 million a year in a business, you are the top 5%. So you are already very special if you can generate $1 million a year. And what is beyond that, the 10 million plus, which is 0.04% that get to that requires somebody who not only has the skills to be the 5%, but then also has the next level of delegation, mm-hmm. which that's really hard, because most guys or girls that reach the $1 million mark in business, they're really good at the thing, whatever it is, or they really understand that business and that market really well. But typically their bottleneck is they then don't know how to let go of that.
Yeah.
That's a whole other skill, to be able to be that person who can build that while simultaneously also be the person who lets go of that. And don't underestimate how hard that is. For a lot of people, it's like raising a child and seeing it grow to, say, 7 or 8 years old, being so proud of the kid that and then be like, all right, hand it over to somebody else.
Yeah. Like,
imagine a parent trying to do that. Like, hell no. Like, that's such a hard thing to do. And that is the predicament a lot of businesses, and I say $1 million, but there's a range there. This happens to people, I think, everywhere from about $100,000 a year to $1 million a year. The difference is, if you have a more scalable product or thing or service that's maybe higher or goes after a more affluent market, maybe you're making 700, 800, or $1 million a year. But really, the difference between the $100,000 business and the $900,000 business are a lot of the same, mm-hmm. depending on what the deliverables are and everything. But the challenges are about the same. This is why, and I know you're a mutual fan of Alex Hormozi. Like, Alex Hormozi has made his bones in finding other businesses that they're stuck at the $1 million to like $9 million mark, because he is really good at taking people 3 to 5x that. Yeah. He has systems in place, and especially in a market like, say, fitness that he's very familiar with, he knows how to go in and turn the knob to get 20 or 30 million out of business relatively quick. And so this dude has found a way. And if imagine you're a business operator and you actually reach the $1 million mark and you're like, but you're stuck there. And a guy like him comes over and says, hey, I'll take you to 9 or 10 million, but I want, 25% of the business, but I won't touch it until I go beyond the million. And it's like, okay. Like, so it's a no-brainer for them and it's easy money for him because he's seen enough of those businesses. And so, and again, he knows those common problems that person has at that level. And I think one of the big ones, not the only one, there's other ones, but the big one is that entrepreneur tends to have a really hard time hiring and delegating. And I think that's something that I kind of figured out a long time ago. Through trial and error, like I became somebody, I never reached the $1 million mark, but I had been able to build multiple businesses to 6 figures really quick. Like I got to a place in my 20s where I was like, oh, I feel like you could strip this from me, tell me to go start something completely over, and I can get up to running to where I can make about 6 figures. But I tend to hit a wall after that. I found myself grinding and working so hard to make good money, but I couldn't get beyond that. And getting beyond that required the skill set of delegation and allowing somebody else to step in. And why that's so hard is part of the things that you have to be okay with is that, one, nobody's ever going to care about your kid as much as you do. So if you think you're going to hire somebody who loves your kid, thinks about your kid and wants, just not going to happen. So you have to accept that. And you also have to accept that they probably will not do it as well as you would do it. But it doesn't matter because there are now new, bigger problems for you to solve in the business that will move the needle far more than you still thinking about this part of it or the entire thing. And so it's accepting that they will not be as good, accepting that they will not love it as much, and being okay with that. And that's really the game that the leverage you're trying to create within your own business. And that's a skill set in itself to reaching the tens of millions of dollars in business.
So what is the path to 20 million for Mind Pump?
I'm not qualified to answer that.
Well,
no, it's okay. So
I guess what I'm asking is, what do you see as like the direction that we need to go? Is it the delegation? Is it getting, more A players in the right positions? Is it just kind of doing what we're doing, but on bigger scale? Like,
so complete transparency for the audience. I admit, I believe I'm an expert at building a 6-figure business. I think I'm really good at building a 7-figure business. Mm-hmm. I'm really trying to master and understand an 8-figure. And so I'm admitting that I don't think that I'm this expert to speak on the 8-figure level of business, but I'm trying to figure that out. And from what I've figured out so far and what I believe to be true, that this business just what it requires now is I need 4 to 5 of you and Katrina, right? Like I need people that could go build a business on their own, and they see the opportunity within my business and go, oh, I want to be a part of that team. This could be fun. And that's really hard to find. It's really hard to find somebody who has the entrepreneurial spirit and the skill set and ability to actually, because there's a lot of people that have the spirit but don't have any of the skill sets whatsoever, right? So there's plenty of those people. Yeah. But actually somebody who truly has the skill set that they could go build something of significance on their own, but then also has the wisdom to go, okay, I could go be a superstar athlete on my own, and I can go play on any team that I want. And this is very common to have. I've run into this many times through my journey. Meeting a guy, for example, like you, who is a superstar athlete, and I'm the Warriors, and I'm trying to get you to come join. And I've already got Steph Curry and Draymond and Clay. I've already got a couple super all-stars with me, and I'm trying, and I recognize that you're another all-star, and I'm like, hey, come play with me. And you're like, but then I'm going to live in Adam's shadow and Sal's shadow, and I'm not going to be the guy, but so what you end up doing, or that guy does a lot of times, is I'm going to go play for the Memphis Grizzlies, where no one's winning any championships yet. And I'm going to go be the guy because I want that so bad. And rightfully so, you should deserve to go play and go do that opportunity. It's harder to find the guy or girl who has, and Katrina's another good example of this. I think you and her are our best examples within our company right now, that have the humility and the desire to come be a part of something much greater than they probably could have ever built themselves, and also understand that. Like that's where we're at right now. Is like, can I find more? And the term for that is like an intrapreneur, right? Somebody who has the entrepreneurship skill sets and abilities, but then wants to play within a team and do that. That I have found that to be really difficult to find. It's really, really hard. And without saying names, like I have people that are related to me that I've wanted to come work for the company for a long time, but they want to be the guy so bad that they just don't fit. And I know they would be this great asset for us, but they want to be the guy so bad that they won't work within the confinement of what we're doing, because that's more important to them. So it's finding people that, and I think you, and I don't know if maybe you can speak on this, if this has more to do, I'd actually love to hear from you about this. If this is more to do with your sport background or not, because I think like Katrina's played D1 basketball, right? So she's played basketball her whole life. And she was never the star athlete. In fact, she would ride the bench a lot. She was known for her defense. Like she was an all 4 year in a row all-star defender. Like just that's what she was locked down defender. She missed wide open layups all the time. It's like one of her most embarrassing moments is like having a fast break layup and missing it like multiple times. And so she played a role on her college team where the coach would like literally sit her next to her the whole game, and she would get subbed in and out like all game for like moments because her defense was so good, but then her offense was so horrific. And she was so okay with that role. Like she knew what she was great at. She was for the overarching winning of the team. She didn't need, she wasn't going to complain about her playing time or why don't I get to start, because like it didn't matter to her. And so and I think that translates in the way she plays it in our business. A lot of this a lot. Like Katrina's probably one of the most important roles to this company, and yet most people have no idea. Mm-hmm. So she plays that role, and I think you have those similar attributes. Where does that come from? Let me spin it on you. Like where would you say that comes from?
I think it probably comes from a sports background. I don't know. I'd have to really think about that. I think that I think winning games is fun, but I think like winning championships is more fun. So I think that's kind of what it is. Like I know that if I want to go do my own thing and like go, be the guy and build my own business and do all that, like I think I could win games, but like I don't think I'm winning championships. And so I think it's like to your point, like I think and I think that's really something that's special about what Mind Pump has built. And I think that's why we're seeing this as, we're hiring trainers, like we're recruiting the right people to come work for Mind Pump because everyone's bought into the mission that Mind Pump has. And so I think we just naturally tend to attract the right type of people in that regard. And so I think that's what attracted me is, I was bought into the vision of what you had already created, but then also I could see the potential and opportunity of what we could create. And so I think that's what it was for me is I could see the opportunity to win championships.
Yeah, I would love to formulate a questionnaire that would help me get to that in somebody. And you said it really in an elegant way and similar to how I think I've communicated this before, where it's like, there's no doubt you were going to be good on your own, no doubt. But the opportunity to do something great or like memorable or championship like that takes a whole team of great people. Mm-hmm. Like one person does. I mean, and unfortunately we live in a culture where people get insta famous, or you think of people like the Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. And so there's these individuals that have been put on, but Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they did not get to where they're at by themselves. Yeah. In fact, they have an incredible skill set of attracting or hiring the best of the best in many different fields. And so sometimes I think people don't realize that they see an individual that's highlighted as like, or Apple, like they're high. Steve Jobs is the man. It's like, well, Steve Jobs doesn't happen without a lot of other players that propped him. He was the face of that thing. And so I don't think a lot of people understand that, because I think a lot of people believe that they could go be that great. And it's like, you could be, but you're never going to get there without also surrounding yourself with other great people. And so I would love to figure out a way to ask that in an interview process that we would get that out, because I do think circling back to the origin of these questions, like that's the answer to 20 million. The answer to 20 or $30 million a year in revenue for us is, can I find 2 or 3 at least more people like you and like Katrina that have that skill set? And with that skill set too, isn't just, you also have a crazy thirst and desire to grow and learn. So it's like at the base level, you already have the skill sets to be pretty good on your own. And even that's still not good enough for you, that you're still also striving to grow. And so can I attract more people like that already have a pretty solid base that they were going to go be good on their own? They want to train, they want to be a part of something great or championship like. And then while they're a part of it too, they also have this crazy thirst for growth and knowledge. Like that's paramount to us being able to reach that. There's no way I can do it on my own. There's no possible way. And on my own, I mean, me and my 3 other founders could possibly get this to 20 or 30 without finding more of you to help that process. It's not possible. At least not from my perspective. It's not possible until you can get that. And it is hard to find those people. It really is.
Yeah. I think the desire to learn and to grow, I think that has to be the foundation, because when you talk about like skill set, like I almost view it as there's characteristics, like whether that be personality traits, mindset things. Like I think there's character attributes, and I think that has to be the foundation. And then all the, quote unquote skill sets are more just I think those are the tactical things, the strategy thing. I think those are things that you can learn, but if you don't have a desire to do the learning, then you're never going to have those things. So when you say that like I had the skill sets, I don't think that I did. I think, when I first started working at Mind Pump, like obviously I wasn't anywhere near the business decisions, and I wasn't anywhere involved in that. But I had started doing things on my own. I'd started do training on the side and building my own kind of business on the side. And what I was trying to do when I was doing that was I was trying to acquire the skill sets. So I think that's like the important thing is I don't think somebody necessarily needs to have any sort of knowledge or understanding of like how a business functions. I think maybe there's some inherent talents and things that people have, but I think what's more important, I think, is the things that you can control in regards to, your character attributes, things that like you said, like the growth, like having a desire to grow. I think that you can kind of take almost anybody that has a desire like that to grow and to develop themselves. And I think you can find some place for them in the business and they'll be successful.
Yes and no. Yes, everything you said is right. Where we are at though, because I think our entire team is full of growth-minded people. We have there's nobody on this team that I look at and I go, they're not like we have a great team altogether. But we are at a place right now where I need more than just somebody who's going to work hard and try and grow and be their job. Like
True.
I need a skill level that can bring people underneath them and develop them up, and then also fill a weakness of mine. So that's the other point to be made is that going back to how I was talking about scaling someone from 6 to 7 or $100,000 to $900,000 business, scaling them to the 10 million, what keeps them the bottleneck is being able to find those people. I think that one of the things that you have to learn to do is to recognize your own weaknesses and go out and go find somebody that fills that gap really well. One of the mistakes I made early on in my career was trying to hire more of myself. And I actually think that's a natural thing for us to do. Yeah. We gravitate towards people that are like you, have similar morals, similar things. And I was successful. So why wouldn't, if I found another me, we would be successful? And sometimes it kind of works. And so you kind of have this false perception that that's the strategy to play by. It's not. A better strategy is realizing like, okay, I do a couple things really well, and I do a lot of these other things not really well. I need to go find somebody who's the best at each one of those things that I don't do really well. And so you represent a part of that. Katrina represents a part of that, or at least for me, right? So when I look at the two of you, we may have a lot of things in common, like an excitement around business and growth and all those great characteristics that I think are important. But you also represent a strength in an area that I already know is a weakness of mine. And so that's very attractive to a founder like me, as I go, oh yeah, I'm not very good at that. He's really good at that. And man, if he has all these other characteristics of leadership and willing to grow and learn, and he possesses a strength that I know is a weakness of mine, oh, well, this could be a great fit. And so that played a big role too. You may think that you didn't have a lot of these skill sets early on and you developed it, but you did possess already skills that I was aware of that were a weakness of mine. And so, and then all the other things too. So like, it's like, oh, if he's already this good at this thing that I'm weak at, and then he also has these characteristics that he'll grow, develop, build, figure out, oh, this is going to be a good fit. And so that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. And, to your earlier point about, doing things like joining a successful team as, compared to doing things on your own. I think that's the other huge benefit of it that people don't really realize is you're actually putting yourself in an environment that's much more conducive to that growth. Because, if I was going to go do things on my own, like it would be really, really hard. It would be much more challenging for me to try to learn and develop certain attributes and skills and, some of the more like tactical things of how business works. Whereas I come in here and, this is an environment where I can learn from everybody that's already kind of done a lot of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the other thing too, that's like a superpower of, coming into a successful team and trying to go win championships is like, you can come in and see like, oh, this person does this really, really well. I'm going to start to work on that in myself and see if I can start to replicate that within myself.
Oh.
And that's just a superpower. That's a catalyst for growth.
If you strip me of all my knowledge, experience, everything, like I had to start all over, I 100% would go find somebody who is really, really good at the thing that I want to do, whatever said thing is, and I would work for free if I had to. Mm-hmm. Like that's how powerful what you're saying is. Not a lot of people get that. Not a lot of people are willing to do that. I understand the value of that. It's like, it's the closest thing to getting handed a Harvard degree for free.
Yeah.
In the specific thing that you want to go be great at. Like, think about that for a second. Like, there's nobody in the world that would like pass up, oh, you can go to Harvard completely for free and we'll pay for it. Like, everybody would be like, oh my God, yes. And even Harvard has, it's general education for the most part. And then you have to guess but if you at least know what you want to do, insert whatever job, whether it's real estate, personal training, finance, like whatever it is, insert that. Okay. You strip me of everything. Strategy 1, go find the best in my area at said thing. Whatever it is, knock on that door. And I'm like, let's pretend that's you. And I go, hey, Kyle, my name's Adam. I really want to get into your field. I have a passion for these things. I think I could be good at it. I'm willing to work for you for free. Is there anything that you don't like doing or that I could take off your hands to help support your business? And most importantly for me, I just want to learn from you. Is there anything you have? If someone knocked on my door like that, I would not turn them away. And someone might go, that's crazy. And how do you survive? Like, I'll do fucking Uber Eats at night and DoorDash and I'll hustle my living expenses and live off of peanut butter and jelly and top ramen if I have to, or sleep on a couch, or, stay at my mom's, whatever it takes, I'll do that to keep my expenses low, because the education that I'm going to get by being in proximity of one of the best in that space at that point is worth way more than that person would ever pay me. And so not a lot of people think that way, but yet that is the fastest path to me being great in that field, would be getting me that close to proximity. I mean, it's one of the common things that I tell the trainers that you talk to, that a lot of trainers you hire, you're hiring from all over the country. In fact, I think very few have been local, right? We've had
Marcelo is the closest,
right?
LA.
Yeah. So we've had everybody has had to relocate across the country to come work for us. And that's a scary thing to do. And it's not like we pay crazy money for a trainer right out the gates. They make good money, but it's a lot of risk you have to really want to come work for us. And one of the things that I always talk when you have me sit down with them and explain is if I'm you and I have this opportunity, I know I have to live and get by financially, and that, of course, right? And don't worry, you're going to make enough money to do those things. But I'm not looking at this as a possible, how much money am I going to make right now? I'm looking at, holy crap, this is the field I want to be in. These are some of the best in the business at that thing. I have direct access from them. And it's not just one, it's like a handful of them here that I can learn from. Holy shit. I would consider paying for that. So if you can reframe that, and I know that sounds very biased for somebody who's hiring these people, right? But I stand by that. Even if this didn't exist, that's how I would go about it. You strip all of my money, all of my contacts, all of my skills, and say, how do you go make $1 million, Adam? Day one, I go over to the whatever the field is that I want to get into, and I go offer my services for free if I have. Now, of course, I'd love to get paid, if something works out. But I tell you what, if you find a way to create value for that person normally will find a job for you. I did that with somebody like Rob. I remember when I first met Rob, who is now a personal trainer for us. He did sales for us before. And before that, he was working, in the middle of Timbuktu, making minimum wage. And I love the kid's character. He was bought into the brand. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have Katrina call you, and I'm going to figure something out for you. I made a position up for him. We didn't have that position that he did for a year and a half, 2 years for us. I created it because I saw the characteristics in him, and I figured, and now look at where he's going to be for us. He's going to be a very intricate person. He's made a ton of money, bought himself a house, all from his attitude. And so I would approach that the same way. It's I'm going to surround myself with some of the most talented people in the field I want, regardless of the dollar amount. And I think if more of, not just young people, all people in general thought that way, they would get a lot further. I mean, I love how, Hormozy says it. I think his words are, your first 3 years in business is the learn phase. You don't get to the earn phase until, 4, 5, 6 years into that thing. And so if you're starting from zero and just getting started, then years 1 through 3 is truly about learning and education. It's not about your income. It's not about how much will they pay me? What's the hourly? Is there a salary? How do I move? It's I've got 3 years to, as Gary Vee would say, eat shit, and learn and get good at whatever and what better place than to put yourself near some of the best at whatever that thing is. So yeah, I don't know how I got on that tangent with you, but you just got me thinking about how some people don't think that way. How much are you going to make? It's okay.
Or equity in the company. You remember
that?
that?
Oh yeah. That's my favorite, right? Yeah. People that young people that come in that want to work for me and they want a percentage of the business. I'm just wow. It's just, I would never, ever even have the balls to ask that of somebody who has made it to this level for a percentage of their company before I'd even come in to show how much of an impact. And even if after I show an impact, I don't even know if I would have the balls to think that, because I know how difficult it is and how unlikely it is that I would ever be able to replicate that thing. And so for me to come into that thing that's already there and think that just because I'm skilled or I think I'm talented or what like that I deserve a percentage is like, wow.